Welcome, I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. There are four funds that the HBAR Foundation has committed significant resources to. The Sustainable Impact Fund to the tune of $100 million, $155 million to the crypto economy, also known as the DeFi Fund, $250 million to the Metaverse Fund, and $50 million to the Fintech and Payments Fund. This is a total of over $500 million, and I'm not surprised there are a lot of questions in the community about when and how this money is going to be spent. So we have Shayne, the CEO of the HBAR Foundation, back to explain. Shayne, thanks so much for coming.
Brandon, thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here again. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Shayne, let's start off with your vision and the associated goals for these funds.
Our vision has always been, as stated, to enable the people that are flocking to cryptocurrency to build new economies and communities. And what we wanted to do in organizing is create fund areas that represent these markets where we expect this trend to accelerate most. And so, our overall goals, just to restate as a reminder for the foundation, are to grow the awareness, to accelerate access, and to increase commerce on the HBAR economy. So each fund has a distinct set of goals to make this a reality. So for example, the Crypto Economy Fund is focused on core DeFi infrastructure. The Metaverse Fund is enabling major consumer brands to build on Hidera. The Sustainable Impact Fund on building infrastructure for creating and trading renewable energy assets. And finally, FinTech, which we announced this morning, on enabling the use of tokenized assets in financial markets. Each of these goals will be achieved by supporting projects from both startups and big businesses building in these industries.
I gotcha. So there are some mentions in the HBAR Foundation blog post that the money for these funds are allocated for 2022. How does this work with the Treasury and the stated expectation that the foundation is a 10-year endeavor?
Great question. And, we are different than a lot of other foundations because we're not the token minter. So when Hidera effectively expressed this is the token release plan, they didn't necessarily say we're going to create a foundation here. So as the foundation got out of the blocks, late last year, early this year, we needed to create some sort of structure and fund allocation so that we can determine with all the grants coming in, where do we invest? So it's simply the funds are allocated in 2022, but that doesn't mean that they're all going to get distributed in this year. So it simply means identifying how the money or tokens are going to be used to incentivize projects. That could mean a grant for starting development or incentivizing growth of a successful project or more. But the funds allocated in 2022 will not be spent in a single year. Our goal is simply to set up the long-term sustainable incentive models that may distribute a grant made this year over the next 5 to 10 years. So grant recipients are required to meet certain milestones or enable sustainable token models for these longer term distributions. We're not just simply writing big checks or giving out a bunch of HBAR and saying go, right? We need to ensure, because at its utmost simplicity, we're capital allocators. And so we want to try to put our resources behind what we believe are successful teams, successful ideas, and successful projects. So we very much believe this is going to be a multi-year endeavor, and this will be achieved through sustainable token economics, innovating in how we deliver incentives to markets and focusing on our core mission of supporting these builders and dreamers on Hidera.
So a follow-up to that one, there's always the possibility that some of these things might not work out. You allocate some money to a team and whatever they wanted to build doesn't come to fruition. What happens then? What will happen to those funds?
Well, so we make sure that we're providing them both the technical resources, the marketing resources, and the financial resources. Those are the three areas we try to focus. And so I think this most recently happened with AKT.io. I think the community believes that they're no longer building on us. That's not the case. But as we think about these milestones, they didn't achieve some of the things we needed to up front. They wanted to get out to market sooner, and the Ethereum path was the fastest. That said, they're still working with us. They are building their ecosystem on us. We just needed to see more advancement collaboratively. They are collaborative. It's been a great partnership. But, timing to market, I think, can be an issue. And it's an issue for any startup, by the way, right? As you learn, this market is evolving incredibly quickly. Sure. The things that we've learned in this time that we've been, in market as a foundation, I mean, it's just continued to advance. I'll tell you, almost a year ago, TVL wasn't really a metric that people really tracked, nor did they understand. And so I suspect that there's going to continue to be evolution in this market, and we need to be agile enough to address it.
Yeah. So you kind of got into this with TVL, but one of the most popular things the foundation has facilitated has been HBAR staking with Stater under the Crypto Economy Fund. What are your thoughts on the launch so far?
My perspective, Stater is taking a similar approach to how staking is being rolled out on the Ethereum network. So a core utility of HBAR is to help secure the network through weighting of consensus voting. So the core requirement being here is a large amount of HBAR stake to prevent collusion by any single entity to influence consensus. Stater, by launching now, is building a single entity to influence consensus, is building that pool for automated staking of HBAR. So at day one, staking in the protocol, there would be a large amount of HBAR stake helping with security. So I don't believe the protocol will be doing other things, though, like liquidity provisions on DEXs. We've been excited to see Hedera finally here and finally in the playing field of TVL growth. We still have a long way to go to boost TVL, but are dedicated to driving and supporting that growth. With close to almost $40 million and 200 million HBAR staked in less than a week on Stater, it's impressive and just shows the pent-up demand in the HBAR community. So we expect this to continue and to accelerate with more opportunities in DeFi protocols plus more.
Yeah, so they're not going to be providing liquidity. That HBAR that's in that pool stays in that pool. I know they do want to use HBAR X in DeFi, and they want to use that and provide liquidity with that. But that's separate from using the actual pool of HBAR that they receive. So
that's right.
How would you rate the execution of the HBAR Foundation to this point, and what does the community have to look forward to through the rest of this year?
Great question. We've learned a lot since standing up the foundation at the end of last year, and we continue to iterate, ideate, and improve. We're bringing more users and more brands to the ecosystem, but we always have more to do. Even if we were considered by the community the most successful foundation on the planet, there's always more to do. Why? This market continues to evolve so quickly. So for us, what they can expect, more openness, more grants, and an increasing amount of activity and value on the Hedera network. We're also growing the team. I mean, when you think about our team size in comparison to some of the other foundations, we're a quarter of the size today. But I am grateful for our small but mighty team, our grantees and partners, our community members who are just so passionate and dedicated to this project. It's fantastic to be a part.
Well, Shayne, you guys have certainly hit the ground running. Thank you so much for stopping by. And is there anything else you'd like to pass on to the community before we let you go?
Just thank you. Thank you for all that you guys do. I love the uprising. Hopefully we continue to enable you guys to have your voice and make changes and continue to advance this ecosystem. So thank you all.